The lead hand hook. Out of all of the punches, this is the one that I see go wrong the most. So, let's see if you're making any of these common mistakes, and if you are, how to fix them. Let's go, team. So, over the course of many years, I've seen various different ways, different people throwing this punch different ways. The common problems are the same. The first one that everyone does, particularly if you're a beginner, if you have an interest in boxing, which I assume you have because you're watching this channel, watch the pro game. They even do it there. It's a problem. I've spoken about this before. Ryan Garcia got dropped by Tank Davies because of this problem, and it's dropping the rear hand when we throw the hook. I have a theory on this. I'm not saying this is correct. I have a theory. And that theory is that our brains, if we're talking from an orthodox point of view, it's the same southpaw. Our brain sees the right hand out there, because often the lead hook follows the straight backhand. Our brain sees the hand out there, so we drop it to get the hook to the position. If you're using correct body mechanics, those two things would never meet. Okay, it would only be if you're arm punching, when you would hit your own arm. If you are using your rotations, that shouldn't happen. So, a simple fix for that is this very expensive piece of training equipment. Piece of paper. You've probably seen this before. You can do this shadow boxing, or you can do it on a bag, and we'll have a quick look at both. Just to make sure that you are not dropping that backhand and get yourself into good habits. Take a piece of paper. If you are a right-hander, place your thumb on your chin, hold the piece of paper there. If you're a southpaw like me, do it this way round. And all you're going to do is have a round of lead hand work. Making sure that you're not dropping that piece of paper as we do. Let's have a quick look on the bag just so you can see how that works. So, one glove, one piece of paper. Your rear thumb, when I have a glove on, should be touching your chin 99% of the time. It's not always going to be there. And I'd be a fool if I was to expect you to have it on there 100% of the time. It's not going to happen. So, just making sure I don't drop this piece of paper. My right thumb is going to hold it onto my chin. I would set a round timer off and diligently work my lead hand. Making sure that stays there. Give that a go. First, film yourself to see if you are doing this. Or look yourself in the mirror. It's quite possible that you are. It's a very common beginner mistake. It's an intermediate and advanced mistake. We all do. Okay? If you are doing that, you need to get that hand back to your chin to make sure you protect yourself. Give it a go. So, the next one I see all of the time is it's a twofer. Okay? Either pushing the punch or overpowering the punch, so we're going too far with it. Very common in beginners. Again, southpaw is exactly the same, but you get the whole, let's say we're going to a 1, 2, 3, a jab, cross, hook, and you go jab, cross, and we're trying to push this punch through. Boom, yeah? So there's no rotation from up top because we're not thinking about our body mechanics and we're pushing this shot. Very common. Or we overpower the shot, jab, cross, same thing happens, hand comes over here. So we have put a bit of body mechanics in, but I've overpowered the shot. So there's two things to think about here. First thing, before we fix the pushing the punch thing, not every coach is going to agree with this. You may not agree with this, but this is my philosophy and what's kept me safe for a long time. Here's my nose line. My hook either side doesn't want to come past my nose line. So some of you will have seen me do this drill before. And that's okay. This is actually going to help both the previous things we just spoke about. So you want to take the emphasis off of the power on the hook. This is where most people go wrong. They're trying to hit too hard in the beginning. Make sure your body mechanics are working well. So remember the first one was we was dropping the hand. We just spoke about not punching past the nose line, so I'm not trying to push my punch from there. So I know this is a 6 foot bag, it doesn't have to be a 6 foot bag. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to throw my straight back hand past the punch bag. I'm going to pull that back to my chin, making sure I'm rotating my shoulder back. Here. Yeah. Making sure that's coming back to the chin. And all I'm going to do is lift the elbow and put my hook on the end. I'm not overpowering the shot. I'm not trying to push the punch over here, which you often see. Okay, I'm just making sure my hand's coming back to my chin. So it's a bit of a 2 foot again. I'm working my body mechanics, pulling the rear shoulder back to make sure the lead shoulder comes forwards. I'm not overpowering the shot. I'm making sure my body mechanics are working correctly. Work that. Guarantee it's going to improve your hook. So next in the list of common problems is to do with your elbow, and this one, the fix for it is to be diligent and drill. Get yourself a camera, film yourself, get a friend to phone you. If you don't have a coach to tell you that you're doing it, film yourself, watch yourself in the mirror, and it's to do with this elbow. Spoke about this loads of times on this channel. If I'm throwing my lead, if I'm doing everything else correct, okay, I've got some good body mechanics going, I'm pulling the shoulder, I'm not pushing the punch, but I'm hitting my target and my elbow is low, there's no structure behind my wrist. So the power that I'm getting, this is a rotational punch. So the power is going this way. If my elbow is low, it's going to want to come up the elbow. So you get this happen, and it feels weak. It does feel weak. If you feel that your lead hook is weak, check yourself. It could well just be your elbow is low. Same problem with the elbow being high. Lower is more common. Rarely do I see elbow high, but it does happen. But I bring the punch through and elbow comes high. Obviously that's going to start to roll. That really hurts your shoulder, which is why it's not so common. But it's very, very common to see that elbow come through low. One, if you're just hitting pads and bags, it's okay. But if I do throw that shot low, can you see the pathway? 2s count of 3s and 3s count of 2s. If I happen to have pulled when you've thrown your hook and that elbow is low, there's a clear pathway from there. Whereas elbow up gives me some kind of defensive responsibility. So make sure you're training diligently in your shadow boxing. Slow it down. Is my elbow up? Cool. Is my, I know that was a rear hook. Is my elbow up? Or am I doing this? One, you're hitting with this part of your hand. You want to be hitting with that bit. Whether you're a thumb up or a thumb towards you puncher, that doesn't matter. Elbow, structure behind the shot. Make sure that's something that you're not doing, because if it feels weak, you probably are. So next, it's to do with this hip, your lead hip, whether you're right hip if you're a southpaw, left hip if you're an orthodox. Because there's a lot going on with this punch. There's a lot to think about. In the beginning, we tend to think that boxing or combat sports is just about throwing something really, really hard and not understanding there's a lot to it as well. Body mechanics, you've got to rotate this, pull that, get that here, what's going on behind the punch. There's a lot of things to think about. So all of a sudden, you find yourself overthinking. You know that this has got to do something, but you're thinking about everything else that's going on as well. So often you see this hip kind of like scoot out over here. Let's see if I can do like a slow, say so a 1, 2, 3. You kind of get a jab, a cross, and this hip kind of scoots over there, like so. And it's because, in my opinion, it's because you're pushing, you know the hip's got to do something. So you're pushing the hip, and you're trying to get this punch to come this way, so you kind of like do this weird thing from here. Remember, it's a pull. Every punch is pulled from the opposite side. So to prevent yourself doing that pushing your hip out over here, remember you've got to pull from this hip. Jab, cross, pull that hip. That's going to make sure that this hip comes around rather than you pushing it and scooting your bum out to the side. Definitely check if you are brand new to boxing and again your lead hook is feeling a little bit weak and you don't know why, get your phone out, film yourself shadowboxing yourself, or hitting the bag and just watch and see if your hip is popping out. It could well be doing that. And make sure the fix is to pull that hip back when you're throwing the punch. Let me know in the comments if you've just gone, wow, that's exactly what's happening to me. Now I know how to fix it. Next problem. Everything else starts to work. Pull that hip. Let me get this hand out of the way so you can see. Don't get this one out of the way. I did pull the hip, did pull the shoulder. Weight was on the front foot. We need to weight transfer. When I'm there, I'm going to limit my rotations, I'm going to limit my power. So it's a little dance. It's as simple as that. This is why some of the greatest boxers with the greatest footwork are also good dancers. So whether you are southpaw or orthodox, when you throw your backhand, we already know that that heel should lift, foot should point to the direction of the punch from there, and the weight goes to the front foot. We don't lean on it. We stay above our hips, but the weight is more to the front foot. I should be able to pick that foot up. When we throw the hook, the weight goes back to the back foot. So we do this little dance. Lift the rear heel, turn my shoulder. I put the rear heel back down, I lift the front heel and turn. So the weight is onto the back foot. Now, argument. Do I rotate the front foot like I'm stubbing out a cigarette on the ground, which is often said, or do I just lift the heel? The choice is up to you, in my opinion. Have a go at both. If I'm boxing orthodox, I do rotate that heel a lot. When I'm boxing southpaw with a lead hook, I tend to just lift and I get a lot more power that way. So that is entirely up to you. But weight transfer, front foot, weight transfer, back foot. Notice how I'm not leaning, okay, my head staying reasonably above my hips. Front foot, back foot, front foot, back foot. And you will get better power on your hook. Transferring your weight to the back foot. If you're not doing it, give it a try. It's going to work. Last one for now, number 6. And I'm going to say it, and some of you might go, nah, no one does that. Trust me, they do. And you might not even know you do it. This is particularly when you're hitting pads. It doesn't happen so much on bags, but if you're hitting pads, someone's holding pads for you, a coach is holding pads for you, and it's taken your eyes off the target. You'd be surprised how many people do it. Because there's a lot going on. They do their jab, cross, they come to do the hook. Everything starts working, they rotate, they pull the hip back, they pull the shoulder back, elbow comes up nice and high, there's all this to think about from there. And all of a sudden, they're looking over here. You are my target. Be surprised how many people take the eye off the target when they do a hook. If you're going to roll underneath that hook afterwards, again you see people take the eye off the target and bet. I'm talking, pure beginners here. Make sure you're not doing that. You need one eye on the target all the time. Jab. Because I said about not punching past your nose line, yes? So that may now, if you're going to think, right, I'm going to do that, make you do this. Well, how do I keep one eye on the target without punching past my nose line? See, I've still not gone past my nose line, but I've still got an eye on you. Yeah, my shoulders come up into my chin for protection. I haven't held elbow low. Didn't go past my nose line. Still got an eye on you. I haven't pushed the punch, I haven't swung it around here. I've got an eye on my target. Be diligent with your drills on this lead hook, guys, because they are 6 of the most common problems that I see all the time. There's probably more. Other coaches would say they're not the 6 that I see all the time. They are the ones that I see most. Eye off the target, dropping the hand, elbow low, pushing the hip out, all that stuff. Honestly, get in front of a mirror. This is why people shadow box in front of a mirror. Or film yourself. If you're at home, if you haven't got a gym to go to, you've got a phone. You're probably watching this on a phone right now. Film yourself, see what you're doing, and make the adjustments. I guarantee that will make your hook better. So that's a little bit about the common problems that I see. Southpaws, it's exactly the same for us. The problems are the same, so don't think this is just an orthodox video. Just look at what we've talked about and make the corrections yourself. If you have a question on your lead hook or it's still not feeling right, or how do I fix this problem, drop it in the comments and I will do my best to get back to you on that and make a video to correct it for you. But work diligently your lead hook. It's a brilliant punch, long range, mid range, close range. Devastating punch once you get it right. Getting it right requires a lot of repetition. Repetition. Don't push it, pull it, all that sort of thing. It's one of them things you are never ever going to graduate from the basics. It can only be worked over and over again, getting better each time. So, go work your lead hook. Until next time, train safe, train hard, train consistently, and I'll see you next time.